the biggest bet in our family on the Super Bowl was the over and under on the national anthem, and we always bet that in our family. It's always a tradition. The over and under on the national anthem, how long it's going to go.
All right. Well, I think we're streaming now, Tina.
We always bet that in our family. It's always a tradition. The over and under on the national anthem, how long it's going to go.
Right.
Tina, I think your feedback.
Okay, so how do I do that, Alex?
Well, I would turn down your volume for listening.
Okay.
Hope that
Okay,
works.
we're going to get started then. Good evening. Today is Monday, February 8th, 2021. Welcome to this evening's regular meeting of the Oregon City Council. Let's begin tonight's meeting by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance
to
to the flag of the
of
United States of America
and to the republic
which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one
nation,
under
Under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty, and
and
justice.
justice for all.
For all.
Thank you. Ms. Evans, would you please take roll call of council for attendance this evening?
Mr. Davish,
Here.
Mr. Horniak,
Here.
Mrs. Pawlov,
Here.
Mr. Reeves, Mr. Seaman,
Here.
Mr. Wallenczak,
Here.
Mr. Zale.
Here.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. 6 members of council are present. I did receive a call from Mr. Reeves today. Mr. Reeves has a work obligation he cannot get out of today. So I'll seek a motion to excuse Mr. Reeves from tonight's meeting.
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Horniak. Seconded by Mr. Seaman. Council, any objections? Here are no objections. Mr. Reeves is excused from this evening's meeting. Also joining us this evening are Clerk of Council, Ms. Tina Evans, the Mayor, Michael Safarian, Law Director, Melissa Purpura, our Public Service Director, Mr. Paul Roman, Finance Director, Ms. Darlene Huntermark, our Police Chief, Mr. Brandon Began, our Information Technology Director right now, Alex Schultz, our Fire Chief, Mr. Denny Hartman, Assistants, Mark Mullins, and Jim Wolf. I think I've introduced everybody that's with us today. First order of business would be the approval of the meeting minutes from the January 25th, 2021 regular meeting of council. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved, Mr. President, to approve the minutes from the previous council meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Seaman.
Second.
Second by Mr. Zale. Council, any objections? Hearing no objections, the council does approve the meeting minutes from the January 25th, 2021 regular meeting of council as submitted. Council, we did not have a committee of the whole meeting last week. Therefore, we need to add items 109 of 2021 through item number 15 of 2021 to this evening's agenda. Can I get a motion to add these items, please?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Seaman.
yeah, I had to move, add items 109 through 115 of 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Seaman.
Second.
Second by Mr. Zale. Council, any objections? Here are no objections. Items number 9 of 2021 through items number 15 of 2021 are added to this evening's agenda. And we will start with item number 9 being presented by Mayor Michael J. Safarian and Law Director Melissa Purpura. Mayor, Ms. Purpura?
Well, I'll start off. I don't know if Melissa has anything to add. This is our annual contract with Norris. This is something we do every year. Melissa, you have anything to add?
Thank you, Mayor.
Ms.
Thank you.
Purpura?
Thank you, Mr. President. This agreement is between Norris and the Oregon Municipal Court. Just had the mayor had stated that this is an annual agreement to allow Norris to have the records management with the court, to allow warrants to be ran, etc. And again, this is a yearly agreement. It's in the amount of $52,401. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Council, is there any questions for the administration on item number 9?
Oh, Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Seaman.
how much did this go up to, did you say, Melissa? From last year to this year?
It did go up from last year. The exact amount I don't have with me. I can get you that information. However, due to the fact that there's more records management that is required with this contract, so I can get you that exact number, but I know it did go up a little due to the fact that the court is now required to have a little bit more records management with the system that they're providing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Seaman.
Thank you.
Council, is there any further questions for the administration on item number 9? Hearing no further questions, I'll sign item number 9 with ordinance number 9 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
Authorizing the mayor and finance director to enter into an agreement with the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, One Government Center, Suite 1720, Toledo, Ohio, to provide criminal justice information service through the Northwest Ohio Information Systems and Records Management support for the Oregon Municipal Court for the period of January 1, 2021 through December 31, 2021, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
Mr. President,
Mr. Zale.
I move for passage of ordinance 009-2021 as an emergency measure.
Thank you, Mr. Zale. Second by Ms. Paulo. Ms. Evans, on passage, ordinance number 9 of 2021 as an emergency measure.
Mr. Zale,
Yes.
Mrs. Pollock,
yes,
Mr. Davish,
Yes.
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Mr. Seaman,
Yes.
Mr. Wallenbeck.
Yes. Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 9 of 2021 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. We'll move to item number 10. Item number 10 is presented by Mayor Michael J. Safarian and Law Director Melissa Purpura. Mayor?
Just to say that this is the parkway improvements for their infrastructure. I think Melissa could give you more details than I'm prepared to do.
And I'll join in on it too when,
Mr. Beasley.
just as a note, Melissa did the negotiation with Bob Johnson, the Jolin's attorney on this. This is, the council already appropriated dollars for this in the budget from last year. Paul Roman's shop did put it in the budget because this is the right of way necessary for us to take advantage of about a little bit over $3 million in state and federal funding. So we have a real opportunity to leverage state and federal dollars through EDA grant and other ODOT partnerships to really connect our little business corridor there between Windscape and Cedar Point Industrial Park. So it kind of creates that opportunity there. We're excited about it. We already have interest from kind of industrial partners from going into that space. And this is the steps necessary to get that right of way infrastructure to get it done. I don't know if Paul has anything to add. It's among the best, it's about the best percentage grant I can ever remember for us. It's a good one.
Yeah. Mr. Roman, do you have anything to add?
Well, just like Mr. Beasley said, it's almost 100% funded other than making sure that we have the right of way and it's required for the grant. So yeah, we have several grants, but it's covering almost all of it. So.
Okay. And Mr. Roman, do you know when this roadway would be budgeted to go in?
Yeah,
we start working on that this year.
Yeah, we'll we'll bid it this summer around July is when we'll bid it. So yeah, and it'll probably be a year, and it'll probably get us into the following year, but it'll be built within a year from July. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Council, is there any questions for the administration on item number 10 of 2021? Hearing no questions, I'll sign item number 10 with ordinance number 10 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
Authorizing the mayor and finance director to enter into agreements with Gary A. Jolin et al. For the acquisition of a portion of property from parcel 44-11051 at 4555 Corduroy Road and parcel number 44-10281 at 4655 Corduroy Road for the Cedar Point Development Parkway Road infrastructure improvements and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Horniak.
I move for passage of ordinance number 10 of 2021 as an emergency measure.
Thank you, Mr. Horniak.
Second.
Second by Mr. Davish. Ms. Evans, would you please take roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 10 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Mr. Davish,
Yes.
Mrs. Polloff,
Yes.
Mr. Seaman,
yes,
Mr. Wallenzeck,
Yes.
Mr. Zale,
Yes.
Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance number 10 of 2021 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. Move to item number 11. Item number 11 is being presented by Mayor Michael J. Safarian and Law Director Melissa Purpura. Mayor, Ms. Purpura?
Thank you, Mr. President and council. Due to all the ordinances you passed throughout the years, we put the new pages in the book. We've been doing it with Walter Drain Company ever since I recall, from going back to 1989, and I know way before that. I hope this is one you can all jump behind.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Purpura, you have anything to add?
No, I would, thank you, Mr. President. I would just state that this updates our code to be consistent with state law.
Thank you. Council, is there any questions for the administration on item number 11 of 2021? Hearing no questions, I'll sign item number 11 with ordinance number 11 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans?
revising the codified ordinances of the city of Oregon by adopting current replacement pages, authorizing payment of $1,698.64 to the Walter H. Drain Company, 525 Vine Street, Suite 310, Cincinnati, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms.
Mr.
Evans.
President,
Yes, Mr. Seaman.
I move for passage of ordinance number 11 of 2021. Is that an emergency?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
As an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Seaman.
Second.
Second by Ms. Pauloff. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 11 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mr. Seaman,
Yes.
Mrs. Polloff,
Yes.
Mr. Davish,
Yes.
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Mr. Wallenzeck,
Yes.
Mr. Zale,
Yes.
Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 11 of 2021 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. Move to item number 12. Item number 12 is being presented by Mayor Michael J. Safarian and Finance Director, Ms. Darlene Huntermark. Mayor, Ms. Huntermark?
Like this next two, Darlene is here. She could present both of these.
Okay.
And I've got a
Mr.
little point
Beasley,
to
you
make.
want to start?
Yeah, I just wanted to begin on the EDA agreement. This is money that the city originally had through our CDBG process, and it is some of it is program income from previous loans. It has sat here for a while. Local governments aren't great at making loans. We've been waiting for the right thing that would qualify. Among the things that's being considered is to see there might be an opportunity to partner with the Port Authority, who helped us leverage dollars originally to buy a lot of the land for our Cedar Point Industrial Park, to kind of create a bigger loan pool to really maybe help. This is such a small amount of money, we can't really help very many Oregon businesses. There might be a way to leverage this with them, or I just want to give council a heads up. We're going to start exploring that with them. It's kind of an awkward set of rules that we can use in a small bit of money, and we're not getting a lot of value for our businesses with these dollars. I think some of the members have asked me, including council president and Steve, boy, is there something we could do for our businesses? There might be a way for us to create or join with a broader pool and create some dollars available for our businesses. So this legislation doesn't do that. I just want to give you that heads up. This just does the paperwork that allows this fund to stay in existence. But we're looking for a step that might really create better value for the community if we can do it. So we're going to be in some conversations in the coming weeks on that.
Thank you, Mr. Beasley. Ms. Huntermark, did you have anything to add?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just that this agreement would then take us through December of 2023.
Thank you. With that, council, do you have any questions for the administration on item number 12 of 2021? Mr. Beasley, Mayor, I would like to, as we move forward and this goes further down the road, if we can pool more money, we continually ask people to come into compliance with certain codes on our main intersection, and I would like to see us somehow pool money and do maybe a matching grant with some of those businesses to come more in compliance with the sign code, with facade improvements. If we're going to make a major push to invest in that section of our city, we should look to try to incentivize some of those business owners to come along with us.
Come into the right shape. Okay, that could be something we'll look at. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Council, is there any other questions for the administration? Hearing no questions, I'll assign item number 12 with ordinance number 12 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
Authorizing the mayor and finance director to enter into an agreement with the State of Ohio Development Services Agency for the administration of the Economic Development Revolving Loan Fund.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Horniak.
I move for passage of ordinance 12 of 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Horniak.
second,
Second by Ms. Polliff. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call, council, on passage of ordinance number 12 of 2021?
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Mrs. Polliff,
yes,
Mr. Davish,
yes,
Mr. Seaman,
yes,
Mr. Wallenzeck,
Yes.
Mr. Zale,
Yes.
Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 12 of 2021 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 13 of 2021 is again being presented by Mayor Michael J. Safarian and Finance Director Ms. Darlene Huntermark. Mayor, are you good with that, Mayor?
No, I'll deal right with Darlene's.
Okay. Darlene, do you have anything on item number 13, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. These appropriations were made to the transfer accounts as part of our 2021 budget. So this is just authorizing us to make these transfers throughout the year as needed.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Beasley.
just one note. Darlene came up with what I thought was a good idea. We put this in the budget every year, and then a couple weeks later, we do an ordinance to say we're going to do it. We might see if we can embed that actually in language that we do in the budget every year. All these are the transfers that we already put in the budget. We'll see if we can figure out a way to do that next year, and we'll talk about it with the finance chair at the time, but it might be just a little cleaner. I feel like it's just an extra step that this is something we've already sort of done, but we didn't do the ordinance for it. So, all right, thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Beasley. Council, is there any questions to the administration on item number 13? Hearing no questions, I'll sign item number 13 of 2021 with ordinance number 13 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
authorizing and directing the finance director to make supplemental appropriations in interfund and interfund transfers on an as-needed basis for fiscal year 2021 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms.
Mr.
Evans.
President.
Council. Yes, Mr.
Mr.
Seaman.
President. Yeah, I move
Yes,
for
Mr. Seaman.
passage of item 13 of 2021.
As an emergency measure?
Yes, or no, I don't think it was.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
it is.
okay. All right, as an emergency, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Seaman.
Second.
Second by Mr. Horniak. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 13 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mr. Seaman,
Yes,
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Mr. Davish,
yes,
Mrs. Polliff,
yes,
Mr. Wallenzeck,
Yes.
Mr. Zale,
Yes.
Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 13 of 2021 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. Move to item number 14 of 2021. This item is being presented by Mayor Michael J. Safarian and City Council President Dennis Wallenzeck. Mayor?
Well, I guess we could let you present this. Sean.
All right, all right. we can do
But
that.
we know this is an upgrade to our system that we know also has shortcomings at the present time, and we want to be professional. We got to sound and look professional. I think that's the major gist of it. And I know Tina has done a lot of work, and Alex also, on this. So we could have Tina actually say where we've gone or how we got to this point, and
Yes.
and whoever wants to jump in and say something.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Council, when we had to start going remote with our council meetings and trying to Zoom these in and trying to become more transparent with the community, I was approached by some residents asking if there's a way that we can improve the quality of the production so that they could hear the council members during the meeting. So it was very hard to hear the audio from the meetings. And at that time, I asked Ms. Evans if she could explore upgrades to our council chambers audio and video technology, so that as even when we go back into the chambers after the pandemic, that we could stream our council meetings to the public and allow for further transparency to the community. So Ms. Evans and Alex sought out some bids and had people go through the facility and came up with choosing of this company to do the work. And Ms. Evans or Alex, if either one of you guys would like to add anything to that, I do think this would be a tremendous upgrade to our capabilities for transparency with the community. So Ms. Evans or Alex, you guys have anything you would like to add?
Yes, Mr. President, I'll just add a couple things. We're looking to do this probably sometime in March. They're going to start it. And we've got to coordinate it with our building maintenance because we need some electrical work and some wires pulled through. But I think we're going to be really good with it. Alex was great in researching a lot of the equipment. All the companies were really fairly good. It's when it came down to it, it was choosing the one that we really liked. The platform, I think, worked better with our system and the cameras, the quality of the equipment. And I think that we're really going to be really happy with it. Alex, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. We went through 4 different bids, and we chose this one just because of really, this is the best system for expansion, is kind of what I based it on. It's easy to, with what we're setting up, set up for the conference room as well, to set up an AV system in there for conferences, maybe over in public service. And on top of that, there were 2 of them that were kind of good for that. But this one is on a Linux system as opposed to an Apple, which is going to mesh better with our Windows operating for current IT stuff. So,
thank you, Alex.
Yep.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council, is there any questions to myself, Mayor, or anybody else that kind of was behind the research on this?
Mr. President?
Yeah, Mr. Seaman.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Alex and Tina for doing all the research on this and getting what they think is going to be a modern system for us. The current one is kind of antiquated, and we'll get some reliable sound and reliable amplification. But the main thing is it's not just for us, I think, as Dennis mentioned earlier. This is for our citizens also. It's not just a program or platform or plan for the city workers, but it's for the community when they come in so they can hear better and we can broadcast better. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Seaman. Council, anybody else have any questions on item number 14?
I'm just good with learning the word antiquated or whatever the heck that was.
Antiquated.
I did see somebody crap for the thesaurus there.
That's why I came today.
Antiquated.
Antiquated.
Yeah,
Yes, right.
better.
Thank you, Mr. Zale.
Mr. President.
Yes.
I feel a lot better with that.
I think we're referring to island in the Caribbean. Never mind.
Horniak.
I just wanted to thank everybody involved. Certainly a good next step for us and our community to be able to allow for a little bit more interaction and visibility into our activities. And, with the world that we live in today, I think it's a good necessary step, but it'll be nice to see it evolve and grow as we move forward and potentially garner more interest into the discussions that take place for us. So thank you all to everybody involved.
Thank you, Mr. Horniak. Any further questions? Hear no questions, I'll sign item 14 with ordinance number 14 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor and finance director to enter into a sales agreement with New Era Technology 1771 Indianwood Circle, Maumee, Ohio, for furnishing labor, material, and equipment to upgrade the audio recording and streaming capabilities in the Oregon Council chambers for a total cost not to exceed $37,154.58 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Council.
Mr. President,
Mr. Horniak.
I move for passage of ordinance 14 of 2021 as an emergency measure.
Thank you,
Second,
Mr. Horniak. Second by
Second.
Mr. Seaman. Ms. Evans, would you please take a roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 14 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Mr. Seaman,
yes.
Mr. Davish,
yes,
Mrs. Polloff,
yes,
Mr. Wallenzek,
Yes.
Mr. Zale.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance 14 of 2021 did pass by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays. Move to the last item this evening. The last item is being presented by Mayor Michael J. Safarian and City Administrator Mr. Michael Beasley. Mayor, Mr. Beasley?
Go to Mr. Beasley.
Just a note, Mr. President and members, there's a little less to this one than meets the eye. We're trying to realign ourselves into a shape that better meets our evolving needs here. This is a position that already exists. We're just kind of changing the title and the duties. The pay is remaining the same and the person is in it. This is the position that together we created to help expand our communications effort and in rec. This person, we're recognizing that among the things that we're not as good at as we should be and haven't been for a while is making sure we keep our webpage current, our department pages current, some of our social media platforms current. Some of our departments are excellent at it and ahead of the game. Others, not so much. And we didn't really have anybody whose job it was to look at it. Summer Riesler has done a really good job within the rec department, really kind of expanding our back and forth with our residents, back and forth with our teams, our coaches, our families. We're looking to really expand that across the board and for the same pay rate and the same, change her duties and expand a little more. She's still going to be doing her economic development job half the time, but the other half the time, instead of just doing communication for rec, she's going to worry about all of our platforms. If the department's doing a great job, we're not going to mess with them at all. Hey, you run with it. Some departments are doing great. Other departments are going to need a reminder that, hey, you got old data and information on your page. We've got to get that updated. Kind of explore ways that we can upgrade our ability to let the public, pay a bill online easier, kind of explore those things together, but really kind of look at all our platforms there as we're kind of evolving to a world where we are working more with people looking to do more. The next generation doesn't want to call us or come in. They want to go online and get it done. So we're going to look to keep exploring those paths going forward. So the same pay rate, the same individual, just kind of changing the job duties around so she looks at all our departments and brings it out there. She'll also interface with those things like this last year, like she still did, like helping make sure the platforms work for the Historical Society and some of those partnerships they did with us and reach out and do the Christmas tree program and do some of that with the rec department. All those things will still be the same, but she'll broaden it out and work with other departments as well. It also recognizes that change. And really, in our old IT director didn't really have time to worry about departments' web pages. I think with the system we're going to have, I think what's going to work for us, I think that'll mesh well with the economic development job, worrying about our communication as a city, kind of a little bit of our marketing as a city a little bit better. So we're excited about it. Again, for the same pay rate, what we'll end up doing in a future budget adjustment is take the dollars that were in rec for that and switch it over to IT. So it'll be a cost neutral process, and she'll be involved in that way. So I feel good about that process.
Thank you, Mr. Beasley. Council, is there any questions to the administration on item number 15 of 2021? Hearing no questions, I'll sign item number 15 with ordinance number 15 of 2021 and ask Ms. Evans to read it into the record. Ms. Evans.
Amending the classification plan of the City of Oregon as approved by ordinance 69 of 2019 by amending the classification of Communications Coordinator, Oregon Economic Development Foundation Director, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you,
Mr.
Ms. Evans.
President,
Yes, Mr. Seaman.
yeah, I move for passage of ordinance 15 of 2021 as an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Seaman.
I think Steve seconded.
Steve. Oh,
Second.
Steve. second by Mr. Horniak. Ms. Evans, would you please take roll call of council on passage of ordinance number 15 of 2021 as an emergency measure?
Mr. Seaman,
Yes.
Mr. Horniak,
Yes.
Mr. Dabish,
No.
Mrs. Powell,
yes,
Mr. Wallenzeck,
Yes.
Mr. Zale.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Please note that ordinance number 15 of 2021 did pass by a vote of 5 yeas, 1 nay. That ends the items for consideration and passes this evening. We do have a liquor permit before us. Council, do you have any comments on the liquor permit?
Mr. President,
Mr. Zale?
based on the information that I was given and looked through this, there doesn't seem to be any objections at all. So I see no reason for us to request a hearing on this.
Thank you, Mr. Zale. Is there a second?
second,
Second, Ms. Pollitt. Council, any objections? Hearing no objections, Ms. Evans, the council will not seek a meeting or a hearing on the liquor permit then.
Oh, I did have one
Oh,
question,
go ahead.
Mr. President.
Go ahead, Mr. Zale.
On one of these, I don't know if that was from you, Paul, or where it was from. It mentioned the water was like there was an amount, money wise.
Delinquency, yeah.
Oh, okay. There's a sewer lien on the property. Do we have to make sure that they take care of that first?
Mr. Beasley?
Mr. President, we have very limited authority within the scope of those items that we can have hearings on. That's not one of them.
Yeah, I know. Normally it's bad activity, but I was just curious. I wasn't sure, but
Sure.
okay.
And lots of times this will be from a previous owner or a previous item. And so that's not one of the ways the state is not going to consider that issue in the issuance of a permit.
Well,
Okay.
Mr. Beasley,
Well,
have we approached the owner on this property in regards to the lien?
I have not in a while. I will reach back out again to Paul's shop, and I don't know if Paul has any update information or anything.
I don't, and I don't know if it shouldn't be a past bill. I'm wondering if it's a past assessment of some sort. I don't know. I have to check.
Mr.
but
President,
we do have a little bit of clout in this because they'll want to turn the water on someday, there, and so we can make it. That's where our leverage
Well,
will
yeah.
be in turning this thing back on. So most places, when they start to operate, find water useful in the sewer service. So if we, I think that's our avenue.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Seaman, did you have something?
well, yeah, I was going to say same thing as the mayor. Before they could start up, we could ask them to pay the bill. Yeah, but it's not theirs. It's probably happened maybe years previous or something.
No, I think it is because.
Oh, is it? Okay.
That goes with the property owner. It ultimately comes back in their hands. So
Okay.
even though different businesses could come and go, that is in the name of the property owner.
Yeah,
Well, it couldn't have been a previous property owner? No.
It's not. The property owner hasn't changed.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, I agree with you, Mayor, 100%.
Mr. Roman, did you have anything?
No, I was agreeing with the mayor. I think there are certain limits as to how you collect, but we'll check.
Thank you. So we did have a motion by Mr. Zale, and did we have a second on this?
yes, second,
Oh, we already talked to Ms. Evans. That will conclude the items for consideration and passes this evening, and we'll move to the mayor's report. Mayor?
Just the one thing, and we talked before we went live on the air that Mary Ramirez has took a fall that really went to complications, and the outcome is she's no longer with us. And as Mary, we've seen as our honorary 8th council person. It'll be saddened to see when we get back in the room that Mary will no longer be there. And we wish the best to her family. And then also Ed Ellis was paid, past fire chief, paid honor by the fire departments going past his house. And that is nice. That's been in some rather difficulties with his health. And it's nice when people are still around where they can see that honor when people go, when the parade goes past their house. So other than those two things of somewhat sadness, that's my report.
Thank you, Mayor. Well said on both accounts. Well said. Mr. Beasley?
Just a note, we had a good week last week on our battle with House Bill 6. And as folks know, I mean, obviously there's a couple different ways of looking at this, but we have a certain industrial, our major industries are interested in that repeal, both our refineries and but also our power plant and possible expansion are really tied into that. House Bill 6 really kind of slowed that down. And the Attorney General has been a partner in litigation on it, and we've had a good week. We have a temporary order that bars the collection of the subsidy for outside plants, other than the coal part. And so there's probably about 4 components of that slowed down our project, and 3 of them we're on a really good path on. So we're continuing to work on that. We'll see if we can help turn a corner and attract some other industrial development. We have a couple other industries looking hard at us. We've got some good land. We've got some other folks that are looking hard at our space, and hopefully we can get some things going. As we emerge from COVID, people are interested again in the commercial and restaurant and residential space. So we're excited about some of those things. We'll be talking to council about them in the coming weeks. We'll have real things happening in real time this spring.
Thank you, Mr. Beasley. Mr. Purpura?
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Purpura. Mr. Roman?
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. Mr. Zale?
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Zale. Mr. Seaman?
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Seaman. Mr. Davish?
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Ms. Pauloff?
Thank you, Mr. President. Nothing from my standing committee, but I just wanted to let Mike Beasley know that on my way home from work today, they were cleaning off the sidewalks on Navarre Avenue. And there was nobody in the street in a motorized vehicle today, in a motorized wheelchair, which was good to see. And I understand the difficulties of clearing the sidewalks on Navarre, especially with the plows, happens every year. The ones that are in the grass on the north side of Navarre past Coy were all snowed and iced over. So a lot of people couldn't get through those, but it was really good to see that they were out there cleaning off the sidewalks this evening. So thank you for that. And that's
Thank you,
fine.
Ms. Pauloff. Mr. Horniak?
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Horniak. And I have no report from my standing committee. Therefore, I'll seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Seaman.
Second.
Second by Ms. Pauloff. Council, any objections? Hearing no objections, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Good to see everybody.
Have a good
Hey,
evening.
Paul.
Yeah.
Antiquated.
I got
Tim.
I have a street sign that came down
We're
in front of my
still
house.
live. Just to let you know,